I want to share with you today on how I'm going to make a red fox blanket. This is a different type because this is using ranch raised fox. They're very big. I have one here that I've stretched, and the length on this, after it was blocked and trimmed, they vary, but this is 34 long and about 12 inches wide. A run in the field regular red fox is probably about 22 to 24 inches long and maybe about 8 inches wide. So these pelts are huge. They're usually not damaged because they're ranch raised, and so they work up lovely. The process we're going to do with these is we're going to insert a leather between rows on this blanket. I've got one panel laid out and stretched behind, but basically what I've done is I've taken, so this is one skin that I've gotten stretched and blocked. So just like normal, I removed the heads, block the whole skin out. You can follow my other videos if you want to know how that's done. Then after it's blocked out, I trimmed these on the natural fall line. And so I didn't do it exactly like 10 inches across or 12 inches across. I did it on the fall line. And you can always come back and trim it more if you need to, but I'm not trimming that off on these. So after I had my pelts all trimmed, I set them in sets, matched them out, got my pairs that I liked. And this is one set that I haven't, that I reserved for a pair of pillows. But I joined them up at the necks, like I always do. And then after I got them joined at the necks, what I did was I sewed the leather stripping on. And follow along, and I'll show you how I've done that. This is panel 2 of 3 panels that I've done. That's drying, and we'll have 3 panels total in this blanket. I had to do it in sections nailing because I just don't have a wide enough board. And I think it manages better this way for me. So follow along, and hope you like it. So we're doing a project where we're doing leather inserts in a fox blanket. If any of you have ever joined fox up down at the rumps, you know how dense and thick the hair is. What I'm doing is a leather insert. The insert is 1 inch wide. The leather comes on a spool like this. And it's designated a red fox color. It blends really well. It has a suede finish on one side, and it has a smooth finish on the other side. When you use it, you use the suede side towards the fur, because the fur likes to I won't say cling, but the fur likes to lay on that suede nicely, and it helps hide the fact that the leather is there, or that leather stripping, suede stripping is there. So this is a real lightweight piece of leather, but yet it's got good strength, and we're putting it on this blanket. I've got, to join it up, you just do like what you would always do. You match your points on your skins. So like here's my shoulder where the throat is starting to change to my shoulder. I've got that matched up with the skin across. So it'll blend really nice. And this is going to be a 9-row blanket, I think. So what I've done is I'm just going to sew this just a couple inches for you so you kind of get an idea. And this is one-handed, so hopefully I don't break my needle. So I'm using a 16 needle, and I think I've got 80 weight thread. But here is what I've got done so far. So this is the first panel I did, which is 2 skins deep, and it's 3 rows across because I can't fit 4 on my board. And you can see the length and the width. And when I nailed this, you wet the leather strip besides the fur, and this was the second blocking. So I drew my pattern, or my squared my pattern on the table. So here's my squaring lines. And then I knew where and how, when I was stretching, I needed to keep, I started on one end, went across, then I went down halfway, got my halfway mark. I also had a line up there, you can see that's halfway there, and the other one right there is the halfway mark. So that's my middle section. And just kept on going, wet it, flopped it over on itself. I did this portion first, kept the other portion rolled back on itself until I got this blocked out. But it, you know, it's gonna dry pretty nice. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come in here on these flanks where it's a little thin, and I'm gonna put some tipping down. That's what that's going to do. It's going to color the leather of the fox. I don't care so much about this leather because it's already a little deeper in color. But if I get some on there, that's fine. But I'm going to color those spots right here on the flanks, and maybe up here on the arm or on the leg flanks at the top legs. But this should be good. So I nailed one section out. I've got 2 more sections to go, and then what I'm going to do is join each one up as I go along. So section 1, I nailed the section that's in the middle first because I'll have an easier time to judge on each side than if I would have started with one end, the 3, and gone to the other end. I think it was smarter to start with this middle section. So we'll see. The proof is in the end, but I think it's going to look pretty cool. I mixed up a jar of tipping, and what tipping is, it's a aniline color powder. You can get this at Samuel Bauer. You can also buy an aniline stain at like a paint store that they use to color wood in a powdered consistency. You mix it with denatured alcohol and a little bit, like a 1/4 of a teaspoon, got it this dark, which is a little darker than what I wanted, but it's okay. So what you do is once it's mixed, you swish it around really good, and then I applied it to like the thin bellies on the leather. It soaks in and it permeates that leather so that when you look at it from the front side and you bend the leather, it won't appear white. It'll appear kind of like a blushy, soft color that matches the color of the fur. And you put that on usually when your leather is dry. So this is already dried, and then I reapplied that tipping. Now this has got to dry, but because it's alcohol based, it dries really fast. I did get some on this leather stripping. That's not a big deal. It's not white, so I don't care. It's just going to blend. But yeah, it's coming along. So on this blanket, I used this leather stripping. I ordered 30 yards and I used every single scrap of 30 yards on this. Kind of surprised me. I didn't think I'd need quite that, but I guess I was lucky that I ordered 30 yards. So this section that I'm going to show you hasn't been nailed yet. And if you didn't know that there was leathers in there, you wouldn't know. It looks good. It, you know, like here, you're going to fold it. Where is it? You don't see it. It completely is hidden by the heft of the fur. And once once I nail this out, you won't see it either, because the fur continues to hide that leather. And it just is going to give this blanket a little extra strength, because the leather is pretty strong. And I think that I was smart putting it in this one. The skins on this blanket weren't quite as fresh as I thought that they should be, some of them. So I think it'll help overall with the strength on this. And it was just a lot of sewing. I bet, well, it's about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. I think I started on this around 11, and it probably took me about 6 hours to sew all these strips together. And I had to join the pelts at the neck, and then I started putting the stripping on. So yeah, it took me probably about 6-7 hours, but it's done. And now I'm gonna nail the other 2 sections next. When I use tipping, what I like to do is test it on a scrap, so I know what the color is going to be like. And you can see here I did this spot, and it looks, you know, pretty good from the top. The other thing is that it fills in like an area. If it's really bald looking, it just is dense enough that it fills in the leather. If I blew on this, you can see here there's none. All right, but right next to it on this side, that's got the tipping. So when you go to do this, what you want to do is test it on a scrap and then see, you know, if it's the right consistency or the right color. You can add more tipping if it's too light, and you can add more alcohol if it's too dark. But you can see the difference as far as where it was and where it's not. See that edge? It makes a big difference. You don't know it's there, but when you twist something and all of a sudden you see white, you think, oh, that's a thin spot, that's palled. That's just the leather showing through. It still has a lot of hair on it, and what we're doing is we're just kind of giving it a facelift. I want to show you how nice this turned out. I just took all my staples out, and so took it off the board, kind of. And look how lush this looks. You don't see that leather. And I just think it gives good definition in between each row. It just makes the rows look a little bit more large and lush. Now, I haven't brushed this, and it needs to be yet wet glazed. It's got a couple of colics from being, you know, upside down and nailed on the board. But this is pretty. So I've got 2 sections left to do, and we'll join them up at the end. But this looks nice.